Couldn't sleep, so here I am in the alley. Yesterday, actor Jonathan Joss was brutally murdered in a homophobic hate crime. You may not recognize the name Jonathan Joss, but I guarantee you've either heard his voice or seen his face. He is an actor with a flurry of credits to his name, but his most notable roles are probably the voice of John Redcorn on King of the Hill or playing Chief KoTH on Parks and Recreation. I grew up with King of the Hill. One of my favorite things to do on summer breaks between, college semesters is going and hanging out with my buddies Derek and John and just getting drunk and watching King of the Hill all night. It's the absolute best. And John Redcorn was an incredible part of that show. And Jonathan Joss was the perfect casting to voice John Redcorn. His voice had such gravitas, but he also had incredible comic timing. I love the episodes of King of the Hill where you find out that John Redcorn used to be a groupie wrangler for Winger, or that he was in a band with Lucky Luann's husband, who, by the way, was also voiced by Tom Petty. There's a hole in my pocket where the money should go. There's a hole. There's a hole. And also, KoTH, Parks and Recreation. He probably had one of the best lines in that whole series. I believe there are 6 paunch burgers and Wamapo casinos. Maybe it's time we revisit those contracts. Is that a threat? Why, yes. I thought that was obvious. Absolutely fantastic. I laugh my ass off every time I see it. Of course, I say all that to say that we should remember Jonathan Joss for the immense amount of joy that he brought all of our lives. He truly was great. However, we also need to talk about the absolutely senseless and horrifying way that he died. He and his husband Tristan were going back to their old home in San Antonio, which had burned down at the beginning of the year. See, where they live in San Antonio, Texas, they had been the target of near incessant homophobic slurs and attacks, and finally someone had burned down their home. So Jonathan and Tristan were going back to get their mail, and first thing they come across is the dead body of one of their dogs that they thought had gone missing. So here they are at the burnt out husk of their old home, grieving the loss of one of their beloved pets, which had clearly been killed. And when all of a sudden, out of the woodwork comes one of their former neighbors, screaming homophobic slurs at them, and then pulls out a gun and starts shooting. What does Jonathan Joss do? He pushes his husband Tristan out of the way and then gets fatally wounded. He died a hero. But he shouldn't have died at all. And why did he die? Because he, a man, dared to give his heart to another man. And people wonder why we have Pride Month. I mean, the whole reason Pride Month exists in the first place is because for decades in this society, gay people, lesbian people, bisexual people, trans people, queer people were forced to hide who they truly were inside out of fear and out of shame, all because a bunch of shit-brained conservatives treat anything different than them as an absolute threat. And now another one of those shit-brained conservatives just murdered an incredible actor and a wonderful human being, all because his feeble little mind couldn't fathom the idea of 2 dudes kissing. Currently, our country has a commander-in-chief who has spent the last 10 plus years emboldening the absolute worst members of our society to indulge their absolute worst impulses. And that leads to what happened to Jonathan Joss. They say that empathy is a sign of intelligence. Well, conservatives view empathy as a weakness, so do the math on that. Oh, and on that note, if you are one of those conservative assholes who is right now chalking up what happened to Jonathan Joss as a neighborly dispute, from the bottom of my soul, fuck you. You are absolute trash. Jonathan Joss was an incredible light in the darkness. And now that light has been tragically snuffed out. And what that means is you have to let your light shine just a little bit brighter. Because we do it for those that can't. Happy Pride, everybody. And keep those lights shining bright.